Well, we begin with sad story from Anambra State, where earlier in the week, 4 staff members of the United States Embassy in Nigeria on a humanitarian mission in Anambra State were shot dead following an attack on their vehicle on Tuesday. The incident happened in the Ami Eke Oshuche communities in Obari local government area of the state. Reacting to the development in a statement following an inquiry by our correspondent, the spokesperson for the Anambra Police Command, DSP Tochukwu Ikenga, said the hoodlums murdered 2 of the police mobile force operatives and 2 staff of the consulate and set their bodies ablaze alongside their vehicles. He added that no U.S. citizen was in the attack convoy. So I have 2 gentlemen joining me on the story tonight. In the studio with me, I have Justice Ojeno. He is a lawyer. Welcome.
It's my pleasure to join you.
All right, I have via Zoom Olufemi Lawson, Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability. Olufemi, good evening. Well, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Professor.
All right, let me begin with you. You know, the insecurity situation, especially in the southeastern part of the country, is really worrisome. Do you think the attack on the convoy of the U.S. Embassy staff was premeditated, especially as the motive for the attack is yet unknown?
Well, good evening once again. In actual fact, this what happened in Anambra State a few days ago is just one of the many incidences of insecurity that has been witnessed in the country, particularly in the last couple of weeks. Only in the same week where the staff of the American Embassy in Nigeria were attacked in Anambra State, scores of our citizens were killed in parts of Nasarawa, Plateau, and of course, Kaduna State. And it tells you that it has gotten to a very point where life has become so cheap, brutish, and I don't know how to define it in Nigeria. Why this seems to be attracting so much attention is because of those involved, because it has to do with staff of the consulate in the country. But the truth is that within the same period that this happened, a lot of our citizens have been killed. Sadly, it is just one of those numerous cases of unknown gunmen, that have terrorized the southeastern part of the country, and of course those known terrorists that have killed a lot of our citizens across the country. It is very terrible that even after 8 years of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, we're still talking about this mindless killing of our citizens, just like we witnessed in Anambra and every other part of the country in the last few days.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's because of there are talks and concerns based on the whole concerns generated so much about this whole thing. And people are saying, like you said, it's because it's the convoy of American Embassy and all of that, knowing fully well that that very place or Nigeria or you can think of every other part of the country has been flooded with a lot of violence beforehand. How do we get to begin to value the life of Nigeria, knowing that everyone's life matter here? Mr. Olufemi Lost, are you there? All right, I'll come back to you. Let me come to you, Justice. I'm sure you've heard what Mr. Olufemi Lawson is saying, that this is generating so much concern, so much talks, because, it involves the foreigners here in Nigeria. The question is, why do we still have such thing happening? And, why don't we, apart from talking about it, why is there no solution, especially when it concerns life of a Nigerian?
Okay, let me even start with the value of life. The corpse of an Israeli citizen, the Israeli government can do anything. They can practically give anything in order to be able to take the corpse. I'm not talking about the life. the American citizen too. And sometimes when you communicate to the international stage, the value of your citizens, both in your country and on the international stage, the people too, the international community too, will be forced to help you respect your citizens like that. It's the way the Nigerian government has treated the average Nigerian so far that has made the Nigerian passport basically be without value. Thank God now that we have an Abike Dabiri that is putting in her best on the international stage to be able to maybe get us some more value. I pray that people who succeed her, or the next government, maybe our foreign minister and our president, will do things both locally and internationally to ensure that the average Nigerian is really, really respected. The fact that this happened to American citizens, to a large extent, there is serious treason in the fact that the kind of attention that this is having is because it involves American citizens. But it's not peculiar to Nigeria. If it happens to an American citizen anywhere in the world, it will be given this kind of attention because the Americans and the American government has communicated to everybody in no uncertain terms that we value our citizens and will give anything in exchange for our citizens. We've seen trade-offs both with Russia when they trade spies. We saw the basketballer that was exchanged not too long ago, I think about 1 year ago. We saw spies too that they do from time to time. So if the Nigerian government, if they treat the average Nigerian very well, everybody that dies, we don't take it with a pinch of salt. We don't just make it a news headline. We tackle every such challenge that demeans or devalues the average Nigerian. I think Nigerians will be better for it all across the world.
All right, Justice, you also agree with me that this is not the first time foreign representative is being attacked here in the country. I'm looking at the repercussion because Nigeria has a responsibility to protect our foreign diplomats. You know, we have that responsibility. What's the repercussion like? Okay,
major repercussion is for FDI, foreign direct investment, will definitely take a serious nosedive because if businessmen are coming into the economy and they are bringing their hard-earned money across the world, they need to be sure that they are safe. Aside the fact that they are concerned about their own safety, they are also going to be concerned about their own investment, the safety of their investments. So that's the first thing that will take a hit. Humanitarian fronts too. People who work in bodies like the UN and all the Oxfam and all these international organizations, they will not be quick to come into the country to help with some of the major challenges that we are having. For example, the IDP scourge that we now have as a result of these insecurities, the Red Cross and all these organizations that come to help, they will not come. And if we start failing on the economic front, we start failing on the fact that, okay, we don't even have people who want to say they want to come for tourism, for example, which is the mega cash cow for a lot of countries, including the US. We are worse for it. So that is why security must be nipped in the bud. It must be given serious priority. For the incoming government, I think it should be one of the things that they should consider the most at this time in order to ensure that people who have these monies, that this economy is in dire need of, they bring the bags of money in order to ensure that everybody smiles to the bank, everybody prospers, both the Nigerians and the investors.
Mr. Olufemi Lawson, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Let me also have your take on this. You know, this is not the first time representatives of foreign organizations have been attacked in Nigeria. I'm looking at the repercussion of this whole thing, knowing that Nigeria has the responsibility to protect its foreign diplomats.
Well, it's a big indictment on our national security. If you recall that in several parts of the Northeast, the Boko Haram insurgents have abducted, killed a lot of foreign aid workers in that part of in the northeastern part of the country. And this is happening in the southeast now. So just like you said, it is not the first time that we're experiencing this, and it tells a lot about our national security policy as a country. It tells a lot about the confidence that foreign, countries, investors, and the likes will have in our country as an investment destination, as a tourism destination, as a place where they can travel to reside or do businesses. This tells a lot on our national security and our integrity as a nation before the international community. And that is why this should be taken, because what if there have been Americans who are stars of the American embassy on that convoy that was attacked in Anambra State? It could have been one of those movements where you have the American citizens who are staff of the embassy, in the convoy. So that the victims are Nigerians should not in any way make us underrate the implication of this on our image as a nation, on our, on the perception of other countries about how secure our country is. And it's a very major assessment of how well we have fared as a country as far as our security challenges are concerned over the last couple of years. So it's a major issue as far as the foreign impression that we have is concerned.
All right, let's move to our next topic for tonight. Several communities in Plateau State were attacked during the course of the week. Fewer than 125 dead bodies have been recovered and given mass burial in the past 3 days. Maguvo Development Association, a socio-cultural organization in the Mangu government area of Plateau State, stated the organization consequently raised the alarm over the spate of killings in the state by gunmen suspected to be herdsmen. Addressing newsmen in Jos, Plateau State, the national president of MDA, Joseph Kwankart, said apart from the two communities, Fangzai and Kabwat, that were initially attacked in the early hours of Tuesday, many other communities and villages also suffered the same fate, with many inhabitants killed. He said the place as a result of the attack we are going through a harrowing period as they were lacking food and other amenities. He noted that more than 20,000 people were displaced and currently taking refuge at the local government secretariat, churches, and traditional rulers' places. Well, I still have with me here Justice Eugenio in the studio and via Zoom, Olufemi Lawson. Lawson, let me come to you. Nigeria, especially the north, has had an endemic issue of insecurity for years. This crisis has continued for years with no solution. What do you believe is the solution?
Oh, you see, oftentimes we have, as a country, referred to the unfortunate, situation in the Middle Belt, Plateau, Nasarawa, Southern Kaduna, and of course, some other part of the country as the elders farmers clash. But I think before we can actually find a way out of this, we must, as a society, be sincere in our approach to addressing this issue. I think it is enough for us as citizens to continue to describe this as a clash or as clashes between elders and farmers in this part of the country. How do you define a situation where women and young children are murdered in their sleep as farmers-elders clashes? These are purely attacks by terrorists on these communities, because no amount of clashes between elders and farmers would have necessitated the kind of carnage that we are currently witnessing in this part of the country. As at this afternoon, the report said over 170 people, but the reality from our friends and, of course, colleagues who reside in those parts of Plateau states that, nearly 300 people have been killed in the last couple of days by these terrorists. So, firstly, we must continue to define the situation by what it is. This is no longer elders farmers clash like people try to make it look. This is purely terrorist invasion of communities that has made people lose their ancestral homes and become refugees in their own country. And we call them IDPs. People no longer stay in their homes. People now have to reside in local government secretariat, churches, and mosques to seek refuge. It's a very unfortunate situation. And I think why this persists is the unfortunate posture of the government at the state, at the federal government, at the federal level, where it has continued to address this as clashes. Why not, for once, bringing perpetrators to book? You cannot continue to read messages of condolences every time our people are killed. You cannot continue to turn government to an institution that read out condolence messages rather than dealing with perpetrators of these heinous crimes. And until the country is ready to squarely address this as purely attacks on the citizens, as purely terrorist attacks on innocent citizens, God forbid, like we used to say in Nigeria, but unfortunately, this may not be the last of such incidents that we witness in this part of the country.
Quite sad, Mr. Olufemi Lawson, but I'll come back to you. Let me come to you now. Like he said, we can't continue dishing out or writing condolence message to these victims, the family of this victim. We can't continue. But let me find out from you, why do you think this heather farmer crisis thing has proven stubborn to be tackled till now?
I think that the government lacks sincerity or purpose to confront this challenge from its roots. So one major way that I think that, one major opportunity that I think that the country actually lost in recent times was there is this constitutional amendment that just passed, the 5th amendment to our constitution, where things like prison, electricity, where the states were given power to be able to participate in such. I feel that it was a great opportunity, missed opportunity for provisions like Section 214 of our Constitution to have been amended for there to be state policing and local policing. Because it is people, if the state actually has power to enforce civil order in a society, there will be more organization, will be able to indeed hold the governor of the state accountable as the chief security officer of the state. And with respect to local police, as they have in more advanced crimes, we can also hold the local government chairman responsible, because it is, if these people see, they will enforce. But if we have to wait for the humongous federal government and its humongous bureaucracy to always intervene in situations and circumstances where instantaneous local intervention is needed, then we will keep having these kind of abysmal results. So the sincerity of purpose needs to get to that place. I think that the states should be empowered to be able to tackle some of these security challenges at the local front. And I feel that these people should actually be tagged terrorists. Yes, they've been tagged terrorists, but they've been handled as terrorists. Is technology being sufficiently deployed to be able to see the movements of these people, to be able to trace the communications of these people? Because they can't, on this scale, kill 120, 170, 200 people in the space of 48 hours. You cannot do it without coordination. They are not spirits, they are human beings. So if those are being tackled, then I think we'll be better for it as a country.
All right, let's move to our final story for tonight. During the week, the federal government released the schedule of events that will culminate in the inauguration of President-elect Bola Tinubu on 27th of May 2023. And the schedule of the activities for the 2023 presidential inauguration released by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the President-elect will be conferred with the highest national honor of Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic on 25th May ahead of his 29th May inauguration. Mustafa said all the event will be broadcast live on all major stations and streamed on various social media platforms. The Transition Council chairperson added that invited president, heads of government and national organizations heads have confirmed their attendance to grace the event. And to discuss this, I still have Justice Ojeno, a lawyer, and I have Olufemi Lawson Viezum. Olufemi, let me come to you. I guess you are looking forward to the inauguration day. But how do you feel about the fact that Nigeria is about to be greeted by a new administration soon?
In all fairness, from my own assessment of the situation, Nigerians are more interested and looking forward more to May 29th than, in fact, Nigerians are less interested from our own view in some of these activities that have been lined up towards the inauguration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president of Nigeria come May 29, because the current situation of the country actually does not really encourage some of those fanfare and activities that will precede the swearing of Asiwaju as president on May 29th, especially when you look at the country that was bequeathed on the outgoing president in 2015, and the country will be leaving behind, on May 29th, 2023. Nigerians are more interested in seeing May 29th coming, so that a new president can come in, and these fundamental challenges that has made life practically unbearable for the average Nigerians have become addressed almost immediately. A lot of Nigerians are, really looking forward to seeing Asiwaju being sworn in on May 29th. They are less interested in some of these activities, and that is why, in my view, some of these activities may attract lesser audience and interest than May 29th, when Nigerians are looking forward to seeing Asiwaju being sworn in as the president, so that we can have another president who may be able to address these challenges that is practically making Nigerians, becoming so unfortunate, if I want to put it, that they are Nigerians today. So for me as a Nigerian, I look forward more to May 29th, 2023 than these days that are preceding the swearing in of Asiwaju as president. And I think that is more or less the reality on the street. A lot of Nigerians are not going to be keen about some of the activities.
We're almost out of time, Olufemi.
As president.
All right, let me come to you. So the idea of the presidential election petition still going on, the concerns raised about this, what do you think about the impact as the inauguration is almost here? What can you say briefly? We're almost out of time.
It has no bearing, actually.
Right.
It has absolutely no bearing. The fact that the courts are still adjudicating on who the rightful person who won various elections does not have any bearing on who is being sworn in, because whoever that is being sworn in, or whoever is who is eventually declared as the rightful winner, whether at the presidential level or gubernatorial level, the person will still have their own full bite on the pie. They will not say that, okay, it's not like the legislative scenario. If it's the legislature, we know that after 4 years, it must be dissolved. So because of that, if a legislator gets in maybe 1 year into a 4-year term, it's that 1 year that he has to use, pursuant to our constitution. But if it's an executive position like the president or the governor of a state, they will still have their own full term and tenure to be able to deliver any of the deliverables that is required from their office.
Right, gentlemen. I've been speaking to Justice Ojeno, a lawyer, and I have Olufemi Lawson, Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability, given so much conversation towards these topics. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Great pleasure.
All right. And as well, thank you for being part of the show. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platform at TVC News NG, on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Jacinta Agochukwu. Until next week, it's goodbye.